What's up, everybody? Moment of truth.
And may not have been in full control of his mental faculties. But again,
Yeah, I don't want to hear that shit.
Their point, and they made this point in the trial, is that the way he was able to reload, and they showed video really just excruciating to see for a lot of the families in the courtroom of the shooting. The fact that he was calculated,
What's up,
that
Matt
he went
Bond?
back and shot other people, was able to reload. They're saying, well, this shows that someone who is competent doesn't really have those neurological conditions that the defense is trying to bring up here.
And Manny, as you've been talking, we've been looking at live images as the courtroom prepares for that verdict to be read. We're seeing family members there prepare to hear what the jury has decided. I want to ask you a little bit about what it's been like inside
now, while we wait,
courthouse.
I'll let you guys know. I started covering this, and if I'm being completely honest, like the plan originally was to cover it day to day to day, but it started to get to me. It started to be too much for me as to listen to all the testimony. I mean, it got to a point to where it just felt really repetitive, and it's necessary. You know, we're talking about somebody's life here. So it's necessary to go over all the facts, but for me personally, it got to be too much. So I just kind of gave up on it. But I did say once the verdict came that I would cover that. I thought about covering the closing arguments yesterday, but yeah, I am really. I'm of the opinion that whatever this decision is will be justice. As far as I believe that this everything was presented fairly here, and I think whatever the families feel justice is, I hope that they get that, and that's where my opinion is. I'm not one to say that one should die or one should not die. I just don't believe in that. But I do believe in justice and whatever that might be. So whatever today brings, I will accept.
It was clear that their strategy here is just to convince even one juror against the death penalty in order to get life in prison. And in the closing arguments, the defense team said, look, are we a country that puts mentally ill people to death? She said, I hope not. She implored the jury to look at the facts of the case, at the evidence, and not rule by emotion or anger or pain. So that clearly was the calculus there for the defense. But the prosecution, very simply laid out the facts that if the aggravating factors, according to Florida law, are that it was premeditated or cold or heinous or calculated, the prosecution is saying, look, you have that evidence too. It would be hard to imagine what kind of verdict they've come back with, because they didn't deliberate really that long, 6 hours or so yesterday. And then this morning they announced they had that verdict. But you're right. All it takes is one juror to vote against the death penalty and it becomes life in prison. A death penalty decision must be unanimous, and it becomes a recommendation for the judge to follow. The judge can then choose to say, yes, I agree with the jury's decision on the death penalty, or no, I still believe that he should get life in prison. My understanding is it doesn't go the other way around. So if the jury decides for life in prison, the judge likely will uphold that. And that would be a separate hearing where the judge may allow the lawyers to once again try to tell her, if it's death penalty, for example, here's why we think you should bring it down to life in prison. And as you know, with death penalty cases, there are all kinds of automatic appeals and delays. So if that's the way the jury goes, it could be years before he would be executed. Again,
Yeah,
we're waiting
exactly.
for that
Like,
verdict. We still don't
it's
know.
not just cut and
We
dry,
have that live
whatever's
camera right now
decided here.
looking
There's an
inside.
appeals
We'll bring that
process.
as soon
This
as
is
it does
someone's
come up.
life.
But Manny, I also wanted to ask you, news that there has been a decision. It was announced shortly after there was that back and forth about whether or not the jury would be able to see and examine the gun that was used that fateful day. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Listening to the jury instructions yesterday, I can tell you the judge told the jury that if you want to view the rifle that he used or the ammunition, that they would be able to, that the rifle has been deemed inoperable and that they would never bring the rifle in with the ammunition. This is all, of course, for safety. When the jury asked to see that rifle yesterday, there was some pushback, according to the judge from the sheriff's office here, that thought that would be a safety issue. She sent the jury home for the night. They have been sequestered and are staying in a hotel with no cell phones or connect.
I mean, I'm curious if they'll put him in general population. If he gets Gen Pop, if he gets life and he doesn't get the death penalty, I'm curious if they'll put him in Gen Pop, because if they do, he's not going to survive. Not in Florida. There's no way. I just don't see that happening.
Two experts. Once they heard the first one read back, they decided they'd had enough as far as getting the answers that they wanted. They didn't need the second expert. So that's some of the back and forth that has been happening. At one point, I think they had also asked for the CDC guidance on fetal alcohol syndrome. The judge said, well, that's not been introduced into evidence. And
yeah, that's not,
or we cannot.
That's not how it works. Love 'em J2. That's not how it works. You know, that's why they have, I mean, it used to be where the judge and a lot of places, a lot of states, the judge just decides your fate. They give you a sentence. When it comes to the death penalty in Florida, the law is, at least now, the law is that a jury has to decide. There has to be a whole other trial to decide whether or not you get the death penalty. So yes, and Matt Bond is correct. You can't appeal the plea. He can't appeal the plea. That's already done. Like he pled guilty. That's decided. This trial is merely to decide whether or not he gets the death penalty. So
reiterated a lot of what happened during the guilty phase of the trial, talking about premeditation, talking about how cold, how calculated this is. We heard evidence.
Those parents, those families in the I don't know what you call that. I don't want to say audience. But all those families, they seem to be in high spirits. All things considered. Well, not this bunch right here, but I mean, just having to look at this guy every single day must be torture. And this is the most full that I've ever seen this room. This is the most people that I've ever seen in this room since this trial started. This is a room full of people who are justice thirsty, and rightfully so.
You're asking about is basically the mitigating issues. That's a defense issue. If they ask to see the
gallery,
rifle,
thank
they're
you,
asking
guys.
about the aggravating factors. That's a prosecution issue. And so this is the drama of waiting to hear a verdict. You don't know what happened behind closed doors and whether or not they could come to a unanimous verdict.
And Jessica, given that Nikolas Cruz pled guilty last October already, how does that change the calculus of how this trial unfolded?
Well, I think it changes the calculus only in the sense that you don't have to go through that lengthy process of showing first that there is in fact guilt. And so we move on to, frankly, a lot in this is called kind of sentencing phase, penalty phase of what we heard originally, but it's somewhat new in the sense that because there was a guilty plea, again, there's no question about liability, about guilt here. We're just looking at does this deserve the worst punishment that our country allows? And that's why it takes so long to get a jury for this type of issue. You have to have juries that can have an open mind. Now, it doesn't mean that they don't have any views on their own. Of course, they have views on the death penalty. Of course, they have views on this heinous crime. The question is, can they put that aside? Can they look at the aggravating factors, the mitigating factors, and make a decision that's permissible under the law?
And so, Jessica, you know, for the defense, his mental capacity is a big part of this, right? Did this come up during the initial stages of the trial?
I don't feel like they'll put him in Gen Pop, though.
Sentencing.
So I think both. Let's remember that he was not deemed not guilty by reason of insanity, or the version of that would have, it's obviously there are different versions state by state. He is able to enter a guilty plea here. The question about the mental instability, about the mental illness, is really at this point about whether or not his life should be spared. Certainly it came up before, but here the defense has really focused on that, on his background coming from a very difficult home, and all reasons why we shouldn't use, again, the worst potential punishment that we have in this country. We shouldn't.
I feel like this kid should be way more scared than he looks right now. I mean, it seems like he just said fuck the appearance. It seems like he's like, why even bother combing my hair? Like, getting up in the morning and brushing my hair, like, screw that. It doesn't matter. What's the point?
So I will say typically a very quick verdict is good for prosecutors. That's the conventional wisdom, which is that if they come back quickly, they were able to unanimously come to a decision. They said, yes, death is appropriate here. Having said that, it is possible that they went back there, that they started to deliberate, and there were one or two jurors who said, there's no world. I'm never getting to death in this case. I will not ever reach that point.
Don't let that timid little look. While we wait, I'll even pull this up, dude. Like, actually, real quick, I want to see, oh, okay. We got a pretty, okay. We got 73% or 72%, yes, death penalty, and 28% no. Interesting. And let's see here. Now, yeah, real quick, guys. You guys got to see this. Don't think that this kid, don't let that timid look fool you. This kid did this. Okay? Like, this happened.
The entire story.
We no longer have the benefit, and a jury will not have the benefit of looking at the video.
The video includes 5 minutes before the attack, where Cruz is seen pacing in circles around the room while Sergeant Beltran
Make
sat
no
nearby.
mistake.
Then the entire attack and encounter, which lasts about a minute, and then when Cruz backs off and complied. Prosecutors say the video is more than enough to keep as evidence.
Don't, like I said, don't let this kid's timid little look fool you. This kid can fight. Like, he had the upper hand on that guard.
The defense rested with this argument about the video.
It should have been saved. That was the request that was made. It was useful evidence. There was bad faith on the part of the police.
Don't let that kid fool you. Don't let his timid little look fool you.
To dismiss this case because of the failure to preserve that evidence.
Thanks.
Really can see these lengthy questionnaires and lengthy voir dire process where each attorney, each side will really probe to make a determination of not, do you have any views as a human being on this earth, but can you set these views aside? And based on your age, your gender.
Yeah, Sammy Smith, who just became a new member. You're not the Sammy Smith, are you? I mean, that's a long shot, but
knows about the crime. They've heard about it. They have views on it. And again, the question is not to try and find people who've never turned on the TV or never formed a view. The question is to try and find people who can say, okay, these are the factors that I'm going to be instructed on to make a determination as to whether or not death is appropriate. I'm capable of looking at those factors. I'm capable of looking at the evidence that's presented to me and making a decision that falls within the legal boundaries here. But, you know, again, this can be a very lengthy process. As we know, and as we've talked about, there are basically two reasons that the attorneys can say, we don't want this juror. One is for cause, where a juror says something like, there's no way I could ever be fair. And another is the not for cause strikes, where you look at a juror and you say, you know, I know they're saying they can be fair, but I don't think they're going to be good for me. And I'm just going to kick them off. And that's why you can go through rounds of questions.
That is definitely...
Jessica, you know, it's interesting because...
That is definitely jury duty that I'm trying to get out of. Like, I'm doing everything I can to get out of that jury duty. I do not want to be on that jury. There is no way in blue perfect fucking hell that I would ever want to be on that jury. Yeah, I didn't think so, Sammy Smith. I was just checking. There's no way I would want to be on that jury. I would avoid that like the plague.
There's juvenile court, there's juvenile judges.
Way too much responsibility.
There's prosecutors who do kind of either stay there for a long period of time or do, depending on the prosecutor's office, a year in juvenile court. Now, there are some cases where a person is old enough and the state law allows for that person to be tried as an adult. Obviously, that's a conversation we're having as we have discussions about criminal justice and the development of young minds and whether or not it's ever appropriate to try a minor as an adult. But to your question, yes, absolutely. It makes a difference that he wasn't 14, that he was 19. We know which set of laws apply. It's a stricter set of laws, and that's what we're looking at today.
Jessica Levinson, thank you very much for joining us. We're going to take a quick break. We will have much more right after this.
Yeah, that's a jury. Like, I wouldn't want to be on jury duty like ever anyway, you know? Like, I just don't want that kind of responsibility. I don't want to I just wouldn't want somebody's fate in my hands like that. But I mean, this dude, 19 years old, yeah, he's a kid, but let's face it. Let's look at the facts. Hold on. I think the jury's in here.
It is my understanding that the jurors have reached a verdict in this case. Are both sides ready to bring in the jurors?
Defense ready, Your Honor.
Defense? Defense is ready, Your Honor. Okay.
Okay, now he's looking a little nervous. Like, I don't even think the things this guy said about women, this guy is the epitome of misogynistic. So, like, it must, God, can you imagine being a woman and being this guy's defense attorney? I can't even imagine that.
Jurors are answering.
All jurors are present.
Okay, the jurors are present. Everyone else may be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my understanding that you have reached a verdict in this case. Mr. Thomas, you're the foreperson?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you please pass the verdict forms to the bailiff?
Judges shouldn't be that hot. It's too distracting. It's too distracting. Like Matthew, I agree with you. She's definitely got that resting bitch face syndrome. Like, I can't imagine. I feel like she's really high maintenance. She's really mean. Like she. Yeah, no, but she is a good judge. Like, she's a take no shit kind of judge for sure. Like, I think she handled herself very, very well in this trial. Good morning, Diggs. It's good to see you too. I hope you're doing well.
All right, all of the verdict forms have been properly executed and dated and signed by the foreperson. At this time, I'm going to publish the verdicts. The State of Florida versus Nikolas Cruz, verdict form as to count 1. We, the jury, find as follows as to Nikolas Cruz in this case. Aggravating factors as to count 1, victim Luke Hoyer. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. Nikolas Cruz was previously convicted of another capital felony or felony involving the use or threat of violence to another person. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. Nikolas Cruz created a great risk of death to many persons. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. The first-degree murder of Luke Hoyer was committed while Nikolas Cruz was engaged in the commission of a burglary. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. The first-degree murder of Luke Hoyer was especially heinous, atrocious, or cruel. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. The first-degree murder of Luke Hoyer was committed in a cold, calculated, and premeditated manner without any pretense of moral or legal justification? Yes. Reviewing the aggravating factors that we unanimously found to be established beyond a reasonable doubt, we, the jury, unanimously find that the aggravating factors are sufficient to warrant a possible death sentence. Yes. One or more individual jurors find that one or more mitigating circumstances was established by the greater weight of the evidence. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the aggravating factors that were proven beyond a reasonable doubt outweigh the mitigating circumstances. No. Signed October 13th by the foreperson. Mr. Benjamin. Verdict form as to count 2, victim Martin Duque. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. Nikolas Cruz was previously convicted of another capital felony or felony involving the use or threat of violence to another person. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. Nikolas Cruz knowingly created a great risk of death to many persons. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. The first-degree murder of Martin Duque and Quiano was committed while Nikolas Cruz was engaged in the commission of a burglary. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. The first-degree murder of Martin Duque and Quiano was especially heinous, atrocious, or cruel. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. The first-degree murder of Martin Duque and Quiano
is just bored.
was committed in a cold, calculated, and premeditated manner without any pretense of moral or legal justification. Yes. Reviewing the aggravating factors that we unanimously found to be established beyond a reasonable doubt, we, the jury, unanimously find that the aggravating factors are sufficient to warrant a possible sentence of death. Yes. One or more individual jurors find that one or more mitigating circumstances was established by the greater weight of the evidence. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the aggravating factors that were proven beyond a reasonable doubt outweigh the mitigating circumstances established as to count 2, Martin Duque and Quiano. No. Signed and dated by the foreperson, Mr. Benjamin Thomas. Count 3, Gina Montalto. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. Nikolas Cruz was previously convicted of another felony,
lethal injection
capital
now.
Felony or
I don't think it's
of
the
a
electric
felony
chair anymore
involving
in
the use
Florida.
of threat of violence to another person. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. Nikolas Cruz knowingly created a great risk of death to many persons. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. The first-degree murder of Gina Montalto was committed while Nikolas Cruz was engaged in the commission of a burglary. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor that the first-degree murder of Gina Montalto was especially heinous, atrocious, or cruel. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. The first-degree murder of Gina Montalto was committed in a cold, calculated, and premeditated manner without any pretense of moral or legal justification? Yes. Reviewing the aggravating factors that we unanimously found to be established beyond a reasonable doubt, we, the jury, unanimously find that the aggravating factors are sufficient to warrant a possible sentence of death. Yes. One or more individual jurors find that one or more mitigating circumstances was established by the greater weight of the evidence. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the aggravating factors that were proven beyond a reasonable doubt outweigh the mitigating circumstances established. No. Signed and dated by the foreperson, Mr. Benjamin Thomas. Count 4, Alexander h00ter. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. Nikolas Cruz was previously convicted of another capital felony or of a felony involving the use or threat of violence to another person. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. Nikolas Cruz created a great risk of death to many persons. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor that the first-degree murder of Alexander h00ter was committed while Nikolas Cruz was engaged in the commission of a burglary. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor that the first-degree murder of Alexander h00ter was especially heinous, atrocious, or cruel. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor the first-degree murder of Alexander h00ter was committed in a cold, calculated, and premeditated manner without any pretense of moral or legal justification. Yes.
I mean, I get everybody like thinking that it's kind of weird that they keep zooming on the parents, but personally, that's who I want to see. I want to see how they react to this. They're the ones who deserve justice. I want to see.
Signed and dated October 13th.
You know, I think it's important to show the parents and how they're reacting to this and the families.
As to count 5, Elena Petty. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. Nikolas Cruz was previously convicted of another capital felony or of a felony involving the use or threat of violence to another person. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. Nikolas Cruz knowingly created a great risk of death to many persons. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. The first-degree murder of Elena Petty was committed while Nikolas Cruz was engaged in the commission of a burglary. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. The first-degree murder of Elena Petty was especially heinous, atrocious, or cruel. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has proven...
I guess somebody got timed out in chat by accident. Sorry about that. It was an accident.
Was committed in a cold, calculated, and premeditated manner without any pretense of moral or legal justification. Yes. Reviewing the aggravating factors that we unanimously found to be established beyond a reasonable doubt, We, the jury, unanimously find that the aggravating factors are sufficient to warrant a possible sentence of death. Yes. One or more individual jurors finds that one or more mitigating circumstances was established by the greater weight of the evidence. Yes.
What's up, Scott Joyce?
Eligibility for the death penalty as to Elena Petty. We, the jury, unanimously find that the aggravating factors that were proven beyond a reasonable doubt outweigh the mitigating circumstances established. No. Signed and dated October 13th by the foreperson, Mr. Benjamin Thomas. Count 6, victim Alyssa Al-Hadef. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor Nikolas Cruz was previously convicted of another capital felony or of a felony involving the use or threat of violence to another person. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor Nikolas Cruz knowingly created a great risk of death to many persons. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor that the first-degree murder of Alyssa Al-Hadef was committed while Nikolas Cruz was engaged in the commission of a burglary. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor the first-degree murder of Alyssa Al-Hadef was especially heinous, atrocious, or cruel. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor the first-degree murder of Alyssa Al-Hadef was committed in a cold, calculated, and premeditated manner without any pretense of moral or legal justification. Yes. Reviewing the aggravating factors that we unanimously found to be established beyond the reasonable doubt, we, the jury, unanimously find that the aggravating factors are sufficient to warrant a possible sentence of death. Yes. One or more individual jurors finds that one or more mitigating circumstances was established by the greater weight of the evidence. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the aggravating factors that were proven beyond a reasonable doubt outweigh the mitigating circumstances established as to Alyssa Al-Hadef. No. Signed and dated October 13th by the foreperson, Benjamin Thomas. Count 7, Nikolas Doret. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. Nikolas Cruz was previously convicted of another capital felony or of a felony involving the use or threat of violence to another person. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor Nikolas Cruz knowingly created a great risk of death to many persons. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor that the first-degree murder of Nikolas Doret was committed.
Jazz,
Nikolas
it was an
Cruz
accident.
Was
I apologize.
in the commission of a burglary.
It was an accident.
We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yeah, sometimes butt modding happens, Jazz. I apologize for that.
The existence of the aggravating factor, the Nikolas Doret, was especially heinous, atrocious, or cruel. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. The first-degree murder of Nikolas Doret was committed in a cold, calculated, and premeditated manner without any pretense of moral or legal justification? Yes. Reviewing the aggravating factors that we unanimously found to be established beyond a reasonable doubt, we, the jury, unanimously find that the aggravating factors are sufficient to warrant a possible sentence of death. Yes. One or more individual jurors find that one or more mitigating circumstances was established by the greater weight of the evidence. Yes. Eligibility for the death penalty as to Nikolas Dworet. We, the jury, unanimously find that the aggravating factors that were proven beyond a reasonable doubt outweigh the mitigating circumstances established. No. Signed, October 13th, foreperson Benjamin Thomas. Verdict form as to count 8, Helena Ramsey. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. Nikolas Cruz was previously convicted of another capital felony or of a felony involving the use or threat of violence to another person. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. Nikolas Cruz knowingly created a great risk of death to many persons. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. The first-degree murder of Helena Ramsey was committed while Nikolas Cruz was engaged in the commission of a burglary. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor, that the first-degree murder of Helena Ramsey was especially heinous, atrocious, or cruel.
Okay, I'm sorry. I have to acknowledge this. Olivia Fig Newton-John, you win handle of the day. You definitely win handle of the day.
Calculated and premeditated manner without any pretense of moral or legal justification. Yes. Reviewing the aggravating factors that we unanimously found to be established beyond a reasonable doubt, we, the jury, unanimously find that the aggravating factors are sufficient to warrant a possible sentence of death. Yes. One or more individual jurors find that one or more mitigating circumstances was established by the greater weight of the evidence. Yes. Eligibility for the death penalty as to Helena Ramsey. We, the jury, unanimously find that the aggravating factors that were proven beyond a reasonable doubt outweigh the mitigating circumstances established. No. Signed and dated October 13th, 2022 by foreperson Benjamin Thomas. Aggravating factors as to a verdict form as to count 9, victim Christopher Hickson. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. Nikolas Cruz was previously convicted of another capital felony or of a felony involving the use or threat of violence to another person. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. Nikolas Cruz created a great risk of death to many persons. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor that the first-degree murder of Christopher Hickson was committed while Nikolas Cruz was engaged in the commission of a burglary. Yes, yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor, the first-degree murder of Christopher Hickson, was especially heinous, atrocious, or cruel. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor that the first-degree murder of Christopher Hickson was committed in a cold, calculated, and premeditated manner without any pretense of moral or legal justification. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. The first-degree murder of Christopher Hickson was committed to disrupt or hinder the lawful exercise of any governmental function or the enforcement of the laws. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. Christopher Hickson was an appointed public official engaged in the performance of his official duties. If the motive for the first-degree murder...
Wait, that's a thing? There's private prisons? Like, I thought all, like, prisons were taxpayer-funded.
The aggravating factors that we unanimously found to be established beyond a reasonable doubt, we, the jury, unanimously find that the aggravating factors are sufficient to warrant a possible sentence of death. Yes. One or more individual jurors find that one or more mitigating circumstances was established by the greater weight of the evidence.
I mean, I don't know, Tom Riddle. I'm just saying, I don't know.
We, the jury, unanimously find that the aggravating factors that were proven beyond a reasonable doubt outweigh the mitigating circumstances. No. Signed and dated October 13th, foreperson Benjamin Thomas.
I mean, he's not going to go to a private prison, though. Even if that is a thing.
Verdict as to count 10, Carmen Shentra.
And I don't think he's going to get put in Gen Pop either.
We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has
established
beyond a reasonable doubt the existence
they're going to keep him isolated. They're going to keep him segregated.
That Nikolas Cruz was previously convicted of another capital felony or of a felony involving the use or threat of violence to another person. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt
I don't think
the existence of the aggravating
I don't think he falls under
Nikolas Cruz knowingly
somebody who would go to a private prison
to many persons. Yes.
Like, this dude has nobody in support of him in that courtroom. Like, his brother's nowhere to be found.
The jury
his parents are dead.
Find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor that the first-degree murder of Carmen Shentra was committed while Nikolas Cruz was engaged in the commission of a burglary. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. The first-degree murder of Carmen Shentra was especially heinous, atrocious, or cruel. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. The first-degree murder of Carmen Shentra was committed in a cold, calculated, and premeditated manner without any pretense of moral or legal justification. Yes. Reviewing the aggravating factors that we unanimously found to be established beyond a reasonable doubt, We, the jury, unanimously find that the aggravating factors are sufficient to warrant a possible sentence of death. Yes. One or more individual jurors find that one or more mitigating circumstances was established by the greater weight of the evidence. Yes. Eligibility for the death penalty as to victim Carmen Shentra. We, the jury, unanimously find that the aggravating factors that were proven beyond a reasonable doubt outweigh the mitigating circumstances established. No. Signed October 13th, foreperson Benjamin Thomas. Count 11, Aaron Feist, victim Aaron Feist.
That's interesting.
We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. Nikolas Cruz was previously convicted of another capital felony or of a felony involving the use or threat of violence to another person. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. Nikolas Cruz created a great risk of death to many persons. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor that the first-degree murder of
Michelle.
Aaron Feist was committed while Nikolas Cruz was engaged in the commission of a burglary. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor.
That guy did a hell of a job.
The first-degree murder of Aaron Feist was especially heinous, atrocious, or cruel.
That dude's really spry too. He's like 100 years old.
We,
He's
the
like
jury,
really spry.
unanimously find that the state has established.
I mean, I'm exaggerating, but he's like 80 or something like
the
that.
existence of
It's
the
crazy.
aggravating factor that the first-degree murder of Aaron Feist was committed in a cold,
Like, he should be retired.
calculated, and premeditated manner without any pretense of moral or legal justification. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. The first-degree murder of Aaron Feist was committed to disrupt or hinder the lawful exercise of any governmental function or the enforcement of laws. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. Aaron Feist was an appointed public official engaged in the performance of his official duties if the motive for first-degree murder was related in whole or in part to Aaron Feist's official capacity. Yes. Reviewing the aggravating factors that we unanimously found to be established beyond a reasonable doubt, we, the jury, unanimously find that the aggravating factors are sufficient to warrant a possible sentence of death. Yes. One or more individual jurors finds that one or more mitigating circumstances was established by the greater weight of the evidence. Yes. Eligibility for the death penalty as to count 11, Aaron Feist. We, the jury, unanimously find that the aggravating factors that were proven beyond a reasonable doubt outweigh the mitigating circumstances established.
77% yes for the death penalty on the poll, guys.
Signed this 13th day of October, foreperson Benjamin Thomas. Verdict as to count 11, victim Scott Beagle. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has proven beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. Nikolas Cruz was previously convicted of another capital felony or of a felony involving the use or threat of violence to another person. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor Nikolas Cruz knowingly created a great risk of death to many persons. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. The first-degree murder of Scott Beagle was committed while Nikolas Cruz was engaged in the commission of a burglary. Yes.
Yeah, let's not start with the political discussions,
we, the jury, unanimously
please, guys.
find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. The first-degree murder of Scott Beagle was especially heinous, atrocious, or cruel. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor.
What happened? The judge's cell phone went off? What's going on there?
We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. The first-degree murder of Scott Beagle was committed in a cold, calculated, and premeditated manner without any pretense of moral or legal justification. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. The first-degree murder of Scott Beagle was committed to disrupt or hinder the lawful exercise of any government function or the enforcement of laws. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. Scott Beagle was an appointed public official engaged in the performance of his official duties. If the first-degree murder was related in whole or in part to Scott Beagle's official capacity. Yes. Reviewing the aggravating factors that we unanimously found to be established beyond a reasonable doubt, we, the jury, unanimously find that the aggravating factors are sufficient to warrant a possible sentence of death. Yes. One or more individual jurors find that one or more mitigating circumstances was established by the greater weight of the evidence. Yes. Eligibility for the death penalty as to count 12, victim Scott Beagle. We, the jury, unanimously find that the aggravating factors that were proven beyond a reasonable doubt outweigh the mitigating circumstances established. No. Signed October 13th, foreperson, Benjamin Thomas. Verdict form as to count 13, Meadow Pollock.
Exterminator 187B.
We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor that Nikolas Cruz was previously convicted of another capital felony or a felony
when you live up to your
involving
handle,
use
you'll
or
go through
threat
the
of
same
violence
thing,
to
I
another
promise, buddy.
person. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. Nikolas Cruz knowingly created a great risk of death to many persons. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. The first-degree murder of Meadow Pollock was committed while Nikolas Cruz was engaged in the commission of a burglary. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor that the first-degree murder of Meadow Pollock was especially heinous, atrocious, or cruel. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. The first-degree murder of Meadow Pollock was committed in a cold, calculated, and premeditated manner without any pretense of moral or legal justification. Yes. Reviewing the aggravating factors that we unanimously found to be established beyond a reasonable doubt, we, the jury, unanimously find that the aggravating factors are sufficient to warrant a possible sentence of death. Yes. One or more individual jurors find that one or more mitigating circumstances was established by the greater weight of the evidence. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the aggravating factors that were proven beyond a reasonable doubt outweigh the mitigating circumstances established as to Meadow Pollock. No. Signed October 13th, foreperson Benjamin Thomas.
Like, why the burglary charge? You know what I mean? Like, does that really matter?
Jury verdict form.
Like, what are they going to do? Put him on probation on top of the death penalty? Like, I don't get it.
We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor.
Thanks, Scott Joyce. You
Nikolas
too, buddy.
Cruz was previously convicted of another capital felony or of a felony involving the use or threat of violence to another person. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor.
I mean, I get it,
Nikolas
Diggs. I'm just
Cruz
saying.
knowingly created a
great
risk of death to many persons.
Seems kind of,
yes.
Pointless.
We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor that the first-degree murder of Kara Loughran was committed while Nikolas Cruz was engaged in the commission of a burglary. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. The first-degree murder of Kara Loughran was especially heinous, atrocious, or cruel.
Oh, now,
yes.
now he puts on the act.
We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. The first-degree murder of Kara Loughran.
I love that he was just like, fuck the glasses.
Calculated
What's the
and
point?
Premeditated manner without
Because you always see these guys always wearing glasses.
Like justification.
Like every time
Yes.
there's somebody on trial, like they don't wear glasses, but when they're on trial, they're wearing glasses because it makes them seem more innocent or make them look more innocent.
Beyond a reasonable doubt.
At this point, he's like, fuck the glasses, I don't
unanimously
care.
find that the aggravating factors are sufficient to warrant a possible sentence of death. Yes. One or more individual jurors finds that one or more mitigating circumstances was established by the greater weight of the evidence. Yes. Eligibility for the death penalty as to victim Kara Loughran.
Well, yeah, but you're not on trial, Matthew.
We, the jury, unanimously find that the aggravating factors that were
you put the glasses back
beyond
on.
a reasonable doubt outweigh the mitigating circumstances established as to Kara Loughran. No. Signed, Benjamin Thomas, October 13th, 2022. Count 15, victim Joaquin Oliver. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. Nikolas Cruz was previously convicted of another capital felony or of a felony involving the use or threat of violence to another person. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. Nikolas Cruz knowingly created a great risk of death to many persons. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor that the first-degree murder of Joaquin Oliver was committed while Nikolas Cruz
I think
was
this
engaged
judge
in the
has
commission of
done
a burglary.
a great job.
Yes.
But she looks like
We, the jury, unanimously find
she looks
the
like
state
she
is established
orders a
beyond
salad
reasonable
whenever she
doubt
goes out to
the
eat
existence
and
of the
sends it back
aggravating
because there's
factor.
one too many
The
croutons.
first-degree murder of Joaquin Oliver was especially heinous, atrocious, or cruel. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state is established
like
beyond
she's a
a
Karen.
reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. The first-degree murder of Joaquin Oliver was committed in a cold, calculated, and premeditated manner without any pretense of moral or legal justification. Yes. Reviewing the aggravating factors that we unanimously found to be established beyond a reasonable doubt, we, the jury, unanimously find that the aggravating factors are sufficient to warrant a possible death sentence. Yes. One or more individual jurors find that one or more mitigating circumstances was established by the greater weight of the evidence. Yes. Eligibility for the death penalty. As to victim Joaquin Oliver, we, the jury, unanimously
And then on the ride
find
home,
that
you
the
know, like,
aggravating factors that were proven
she's yelling
beyond
at
a
you.
reasonable
Why didn't you
doubt
defend me to the
outweigh
waiter?
the mitigating circumstances established. No.
Why
Dated
didn't you defend
October
me back there?
13th,
You saw how many
Foreperson
croutons that
Benjamin
salad
Thomas.
had, honey.
Verdict form as to count 16, victim Jamie Gutenberg. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating
Totally.
factor. Nikolas Cruz was previously convicted of another capital felony or of a felony involving the use or threat of violence to another person. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. Nikolas Cruz knowingly created a great risk of death to many persons. Yes.
I didn't pause that. I don't know. I guess it froze. But no, I cannot
Well, we have all
explain.
been watching the penalty trial phase.
I'm not a
of
lawyer. I
the
don't.
Parkland school shooting.
I know no better than you guys do.
The person responsible behind the Parkland school shooting, Nikolas Cruz. It was
And nobody's gonna
long,
know
drawn-out
why.
verdict in which the jurors went through every single person.
Nobody here can logically explain why a juror came to that conclusion. So yeah, sorry, I can't explain that.
This has been really confusing for everybody who's listening, and it looked like it was torturous to the families who were watching. Have we learned yet whether or not Nikolas Cruz is going to face a death penalty or life in prison?
So it looked to me as if he's going to face life in prison because the counts that were read, and each count, as you said, corresponds to a different victim.
And I'm just going to say to our viewers, an explanation of why we don't know for sure any of this is in part because we lost that feed as it was coming in there. So we have been watching this. It will continue on. And of course, we will bring it to you as soon as we get it.
Right.
Please continue, Rebecca.
Okay. So for each victim, the jury needed to determine beyond a reasonable doubt and unanimously that Nikolas Cruz.
Yeah, there's a few no's in there,
And
so
it looks as if they have not done that
Right.
one or more juror has determined that the mitigating factors, in other words, the factors that the defense showed that made it look as if he is less responsible or there are some excuses or reasons which he deserves mercy, outweigh those aggravating factors, the aspects of the crime that make it look as if it is worse and worthy of the death penalty.
So for the people who are watching, the first thing that we were hearing was about the state presenting the additional aggravating evidence that Nikolas Cruz did this.
Safari Dream,
with
yeah, I
malicious
hear you,
intent.
but
He did it.
actually, like, I
In some
kind of
cases,
like to hear this insight.
They aligned it with burglary. Can you explain that, Rebecca?
Rebecca?
So there are multiple aggravating offenses, and the jurors were presented with each one. Part of why this was such a long process is they were presented with each one, and they had to determine whether or not the prosecution had proved beyond a reasonable doubt with regard to each one that he had that the prosecution had met this burden beyond a reasonable doubt. So one of those, as you said, was that he was in the process, that this was a crime committed in the process of committing another felony. And so there was some suggestion that in breaking into the school, I suppose that it was technically a burglary, but there were many of these, particularly that it was particularly cruel, that he intended to kill numerous people, which of course is the case. And so
clearly
all of those factors would be aggravating factors.
And Rebecca, it's great to have you here to guide us through this as we kind of begin our afternoon wheel a little early. We also have Manuel Bojorquez, who is outside the courthouse listening in as well. Manny, we lost our signal as the jury's decision was being read point by point.
That wasn't on purpose.
Bring us up to speed on what you're seeing and hearing outside and what this has been like for you to cover.
Yeah, there's been a lot of commotion, of course, media covering this right now, but I can tell you that listening to those counts being read, there has been a lot of emotion, mostly anger, it appears, shown by the families of the victims.
Especially heinous, atrocious.
And
I
Manny,
believe we're back in that feed now.
Yes.
This does seem like we're back in the feed, so we're going to go back into the courtroom and continue to
unanimously
listen.
find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the aggravating factor. The first-degree murder of Peter Wang was committed in a cold, calculated, and premeditated manner without any pretense of moral or legal justification. Yes. Reviewing the aggravating factors that we unanimously found to be established beyond a reasonable doubt, we, the jury, unanimously find that the aggravating factors are sufficient to warrant a possible sentence of death. Yes. One or more individual jurors find that one or more mitigating circumstances was established by the greater weight of the evidence. Yes. Eligibility for the death penalty as to Peter Wang. We, the jury, unanimously find that the aggravating factors that were proven beyond a reasonable doubt outweigh the mitigating circumstances established as to count 17, Peter Wang. No. October 13th, 2022, signed by foreperson Benjamin Thomas.
I think he's
Madam
like
Clerk,
20,
would you please poll
21
the
or
jurors?
22 now.
Mr. Thomas, is this your verdict?
Yes.
Tony Vega, is this your verdict?
Yes.
Stephen Crop, is this your verdict?
Yes.
Jimmy Benbow, is
I
this your
mean,
verdict?
no, like you still get the death penalty for one murder sometimes.
Andrew
Like that
Johnson,
happens,
is this your verdict?
depending on the nature of it.
Andrew? No. Annette Sanchez, is this your verdict? Yes. Stacy Lezing, Jim, is this your verdict?
Oh, he's 25. Okay, thank you.
Melody Van O, is this your verdict? Yes. Narelle Rinkus, is this your verdict? Yes. Dimitri Bahara, is this your verdict?
Yes.
Gabriel Figueroa, is this your verdict?
Yes.
And Denise, is it Conho? Is this your verdict? Thank you.
Members of the jury, I wish to thank you for your time and consideration in this case. I also wish to advise you of the following. No juror can ever be required to talk about the discussions that occurred in the jury room except by court order. For many centuries, our society has relied upon juries for consideration of difficult cases. Your deliberations, discussions, and votes should remain your private affair if that's what you wish. Therefore, the law gives you the privilege not to speak about the jury's work. Although you are at liberty to speak with anyone about your deliberations, you're also at liberty to refuse to speak to anyone. A request.
I mean, I'm not surprised. Like, if this comes out like where he gets life in prison, I'm not going to be surprised.
From those who might seek to find fault with you, from the media, the attorneys, or elsewhere. It will be up to you to decide whether to preserve your privacy as a juror. At this time, the sheriff's office is going to escort the jurors out of the courtroom. Okay, the defendant having previously been adjudicated of 17 counts of murder in the first degree, the jury having returned a verdict of life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. Is there any legal reason why I should not impose a sentence at this time?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
And that is under 921.143, the victims under counts 1 through 17, and also the surviving victims of the attempted homicides have a right to express themselves as to the everything that could not be expressed under victim impact. They can express themselves as to crime.
Yeah, I definitely want to hear the impact statements.
They think should have been the appropriate disposition.
Is that going to happen today? I doubt it.
It is anticipated that that could be a lengthy sentencing hearing because it applies to all 34 counts of the indictment.
Okay, are you prepared to present that testimony now?
No, we're not, Your Honor. And under the statute, it says that the victims have a right to present that testimony. And also,
I mean, she does kind of look like Debbie Downer, Rachel Dratch.
And that the victim should present that testimony before.
Not her.
Okay, when can we do that on November 1st, which is Tuesday?
The one on the end there.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, I'll reset the sentencing
for
November 1st.
I see it, Buttercup.
Tuesday at 9 a.m. So the defendant will remain in custody of the Broward Sheriff's Office until such time as he's sentenced.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Is there anything else for today?
Nothing from the defense, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. We're in recess.
All right, so yeah, that's it for today.
We have now heard the jury decide that the Parkland school massacre, Nikolas Cruz, the shooter responsible for killing 17 individuals on February 14th, 2018, will be held responsible by facing life in prison without the possibility of parole. However, they did not find that the mitigating factors, or they did not find that the aggravating factors of the state outweighed the mitigating factors that the defense presented. He will not be facing the death penalty, it looks like. Of course, the sentence has not yet been read because in Florida, they have the right, the victims, the remaining family members of the victims have the right to also be heard on this. And CBS News legal contributor Rebecca Royfee is here in Studio 57 to join Errol and I with more analysis on this.
What happened just there, Rebecca? Right at the end, they cited, statute 921.143. The victims need to be heard. What's the difference between that and what's happened up until now that the judge has now said, okay, we'll wait till November 1st for the actual sentencing? What just happened?
So there's an option to have the sentence imposed immediately upon the jury's decision or to have it announced at a later date. And the judge, listening to this argument, determined to impose that sentence at a later date. And that is because the victims have a right to be heard. Now, that's different from here, in which there was the penalty phase of the trial, where some of them did testify, but they testified to the point of the aggravating factors. They were only considered by the jury in terms of whether and how they established those aggravating factors. But in imposing the sentence, they would be allowed to be heard on a different level to just simply voice the pain and suffering that these crimes have caused.
And what difference then might that make in the eyes of this argument?
There's no practical difference because the judge is going to impose the sentence that the jury determined here, which is life without parole, rather than the death penalty.
correspondent Manuel Bojorquez is outside the courtroom, and we were just trying to speak with you when we had a brief interruption. Manny, what is the reaction to this decision? Nikolas Cruz getting life in prison with no chance of parole.
From the victims' families, we could see inside the courtroom there was what seemed to be anger and tears over this decision.
So 77% of you guys felt
for people who aren't
that he should have gotten the death penalty.
Have that legal mind, the rest of us, to try to figure out how the verdict was read was confusing. So at first there was confusion, right? Because the jury basically had to decide, did the prosecution prove all of these aggravating factors? And as it was being read for each of the 17 counts, the answer was yes, 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 yes. Then it said, did one or more of the jurors find that there were also mitigating factors? The answer there was yes. So the jurors there basically pointing out that both sides seemed to prove the evidence they presented. But there was one pivotal question at the very end, is do the aggravating factors outweigh the mitigating factors? And for each of the 17 counts, the answer from the jury was no. So clearly the recommendation there is that this would be life in prison. This is clearly not the outcome that many of those families in the courtroom wanted. We are expected to hear from some of them, but the reactions, you know, this has been so painful all along for them to relive, to hear the evidence, to hear the gunshots, to hear the screams of children inside the building when the shooting happened. They are...
All right, so... yeah, so as far as the jury goes, it looks like it's going to be life in prison. I think that the judge is going to wait to hear from the families, and then I think the judge has the option to make a decision. I don't know. I honestly don't know how I feel about that. Personally, I mean, I see a lot of you guys. I put up a new poll, but I see a lot of you guys are really disappointed with the decision. I'm not surprised by the decision. I'm not at all surprised by it, especially in the time that we live in right now. So, I mean, because look at it like this. Like a lot of people, I mean, imagine, I can't even imagine what it's like to be one of the parents sitting in that gallery. You know, I feel like I don't think the judge is going to overturn it either, but I can only imagine you know, what it's like to be one of these parents. Kobe's Galaxy, can you please refrain from making asinine comments in my chat, please? That would be great. This is a situation where, like, I mean, when you imagine what life in prison is going to be for this guy, you know, he's probably going to find Jesus, and you know, he's going to start making coffee mugs and arts and crafts and shit like that. And God, it's infuriating to think, you know, when you think about it in terms of like that, it's infuriating. And yeah, chili peanuts. Yeah. When it depends, but yeah, that's a good question. Economically speaking, what costs more? Oh my God. Right, Sam B. I mean, I'm not somebody who is going to presume to think that I'm somebody that gets to decide whether someone should live or die. if I'm that judge and it's on me to overturn that verdict or not, I probably wouldn't do it, because I don't want it on my conscience that I killed anybody, whether or not whatever they did. I have no desire to determine someone's fate of whether they live or die. So I would never want that responsibility. I would never want to be on that jury. So I'm not surprised at the verdict at all. I just, I just feel bad for these parents. Because I can't imagine what they're going through. So whatever they want, I feel like they deserve whatever justice they feel is fitting. That's my opinion, is whatever the parents feel should happen, should happen. Sorry, I'm just looking at chat here. Yeah, because some of you guys are mad, man, and I don't blame you. Honestly, I really don't blame you. Wow. Okay, so 75% of you feel that justice was not served, and I don't blame you for feeling that way. And it's gonna be a minute. November 1st. I mean, that's at least a couple of weeks away. So November 1st is when we'll hear the impact statements. And I'm really interested to hear. I mean, I think at the very least, these families have earned the right to be heard in this courtroom. So, and as many of you know, sad news when it comes to Quentin Simon. Apparently, according to Quentin's grandmother, Billy Joe, she claimed that her daughter, Quentin's mom, killed Quentin and doesn't remember doing it, and they found him in a landfill at a dump, and apparently she just threw him away like garbage. We're expecting a press release from law enforcement around 1 p.m. Eastern, which will be about an hour from now. Do I believe the grandma? Yeah, I do. I mean, she wasn't even there. I think that any shady behavior that comes from the grandmother is just her instinct to defend her daughter, maybe, even though she has publicly said that she doesn't trust her daughter. It's publicly, she filed an eviction notice. She filed for an eviction to have her daughter and her 3 kids removed from the house. So I don't know what to think of the grandmother, to be perfectly honest. I think every adult in this child's life is a fucking hot mess. Every single one, including the babysitter. I think every single adult in that kid's life is a fucking mess. And I feel bad for the other kids. They haven't said that they found him. It's just, like I said, allegedly, according to the grandmother. According to the grandmother, he was found in a landfill. I don't know if that's true or not. That's just coming from the grandmother. But we're expecting a press release. I don't know if it'll be a live press conference or just a statement released by law enforcement. Yeah, and the idiots that are out there right now are acting like they had something to do with this. Yeah. I'm still a little too angry and confused as far as what's going on with Quentin to focus on them right now, but I will. I promise you I will. It's what I do here. Right, Mike M. I agree with you. Like I said, allegedly, according to the grandmother, that's the case. So we'll see. Oh, okay, Mike M. No problem, man. No, Exterminator 8, you're not muted. I can see you and all your ridiculous comments. Yeah, Princess Mariposa. I agree with you. They're not doing anything productive at all. I think if they're doing anything, it's actually interfering with an ongoing investigation and tampering with potential witnesses and evidence. And so I hope that they get arrested. Like, I hope. I seriously hope we see number 43 happen on BHB. I mean, it's so funny to me because they're like, their whole thing is like, nobody else is out here doing what we're doing. Well, that's because nobody else is nearly as much of an asshole and a moron as you guys are. Like, that's the whole point. You guys are idiots. You're stupid. Nobody else would have the audacity to go out there and tamper with an investigation that's going to get a 20-month-old justice. Like, you're not special because you're doing more work than other people. You're not doing anything good. People have enough common sense to not interfere with an ongoing open investigation. So no, you don't get props or kudos for this. You're just idiots. No, right. Like, the reason why you two were the only assholes out there is because nobody would presume to be as big of assholes as you guys are. Simple. It's not because you guys are doing something great and special. You're not. You're fucking with an investigation. And they don't even know any details on the case either. Like, they know nothing. It's so insane. Like, they've done no research. Dolly can't even fucking spell the kid's name right. Like, so ridiculous. We're out here investigating Quentin Simons. The grandma knows something, and I got some asshole throwing French fries at me. Mickey D's French fries. So stupid. Like, I hope there's like a trend where like people just decide to get together and just throw fucking pelt French fries at them, like like the local Mickey D's, Hardee's, whatever the fuck. Like people just like decide, okay, this is what we're gonna do, folks. We're gonna fucking all buy French fries, and all the sales at these fast food restaurants go up for French fries, and then it just becomes a thing to fucking pelt French fries at them. I think I would love that. That would just make my entire YouTube existence. I would be so happy about that. He's an absolute bellend. Chili peanuts. See, I know my limey talk. We don't know if Quentin's been found yet, Roxanne Polk. We don't know yet. We're expecting a press release in an hour. I don't know if I'll go live about it or not. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I still got to go to the gym, so I don't even know. Cherry's working, so yeah. As much as I love her being here, she does take time out of her very busy schedule to be an intricate part of this channel, and so she's working, and she's here when she can be here. But yeah, like I would love, like I totally want to start a campaign. Like I wish that like everybody in that area was watching this channel, and I could just be like, go get French fries and pelt them. If they're standing in front of your house with a bullhorn, pelt them with French fries. I don't understand why everybody's throwing French fries at me. Why are you throwing French fries? See fucking 2 or 3 of them get stuck in his fucking mangy ass beard. That would just make my fucking day. Drive-by fry pelting. Okay, let me go take a look at this. Thank you for that, by the way. Is it on the same? Drop a link in the chat for me, Diggs. If you see that, since you have a wrench, drop a link in the chat for me, because I want to hear from the parents. Okay, here's Fox. Okay, here we go. I got it. I found it. Never mind. I found it.
It's about the heinous crime that was committed. There is no recovery. Jail's about rehabbing someone. There is no rehabbing.
It's a good point. Yeah, there's no rehabilitating this dude.
Doesn't matter at this point. And we still have to go to the cemetery. Go see our daughter. Probably.
Or you guys had to sit there for nearly 50 minutes and listen to them go. Can you tell us what
We sat there for over 12 hours waiting to find out our child was dead. And we just sat there being tortured by another hour waiting.
Yeah, I mean, they sat through this for like nothing. If what they consider justice is this guy getting the death penalty, they sat through this shit doing nothing. You know, just waiting for nothing. Not doing nothing, I mean, but they sat there for nothing.
So that means that everyone that has a mental illness should go on a killing spree? That's what we're telling this society?
Good
That we're
point.
saying that's okay because
Good
you have a
point.
mental illness?
I'm so sick and fucking tired of the mental illness excuse.
And he had antisocial personality disorder, amongst others, oppositional defiant disorder, but it doesn't give him the right to go and kill 17 children. 17 people.
That's as loud as it goes.
And I'm sorry, this is just not okay.
Were you okay with how the state prosecuted the case? If you think they could have done anything differently, just a different sentence?
I think the state did a great job. I think they did.
They
what
did.
could. We're very thankful for them.
I mean, they couldn't have been more thorough.
To fail us.
I had to stop covering this because every day it was just more and more accounts.
It's a stain. I'm sorry. It's just a stain, and I live here. It's a stain on this world that we live in. Broward County.
This guy has every right to be pissed off.
Just a real
Disappointment.
disappointment. Absolutely. Absolutely have.
Would you say the state let your daughter down?
Yes.
I mean, I'm not laughing at this dude. Like, what a stupid fucking question that was.
Jury system for a reason, and they let us down.
Like the way that he looked at her for asking that, he was like, yeah.
But they didn't go by the evidence. There was no mitigating factors. I'm sorry.
I agree.
Any mitigation was disproven clearly in the court.
Dude, the evidence was beaten to the ground.
And if there is a reason, then why are we allowing people to just go randomly kill others? Is that what we're telling our society? But
Good point, man. I agree with you. I'm with this guy.
Locked up, yes. Mental or otherwise. I
Totally agree, Jennifer Reed. Totally agree.
He should have been shackles every time he came in.
And there was overwhelming evidence.
Every time he was there. He's not a human being, he's an animal.
Laura, in the last 4 years, you guys have done so much work on this law, what you've been doing in school board. What does this do for you guys to redouble your efforts outside of the courtroom? What's next?
So I would say that it just makes the fire inside us even want to fight harder for change and know that we have to do so much more to prevent the next school shooting and work so much harder because this cannot happen. And our nonprofit, Make Our Schools Safe, we have been fighting to get Alyssa's Law passed nationally as a standard level of school safety protection in every school across this country, so that if there is a life-threatening emergency, law enforcement can get on the scene as quickly as possible and take down the threat. Law enforcement needs to do their job.
Yep.
They cannot stand there and just watch as 17 people get shot and killed. Your job as a police officer is to go in, engage, and take down the threat.
Preach.
And if you can't do that, don't do the job.
Preach. Damn right.
No, absolutely not. He should have been given the death penalty from the get-go.
Will you be, right after what you just said, I assume you're going to be there when Scott Peterson goes on trial?
Absolutely. I just want to end with, please Don't show the shooter's face. Stop showing the shooter's face. No notoriety. 17 people were killed. Let's remember them. Remember Alyssa Aladeff. Remember the 16 others. And you could be a part of helping to stop the next school shooting. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So sorry again for your loss. So you just heard from Florida Alphabet there. You're being told that Fred
It's so sad. God, I can't even imagine going through what they're going through. I can't even begin to imagine that. I want to hear from more families. I want to hear them speak up. I hope they bring more people up. Man, that lady was on fire, man. Man. Like, can you imagine the emotions in that room right now?
I know. Tony, we know that today has to be such a hard day for you. Explain to the viewers of everyone watching what is going through your mind and heart right now.
Well, we'll start off with it's pretty unreal that nobody paid attention to the facts of this case.
Yeah, good point.
Nobody can remember who a victim is and what they look like. I know every day because I see my beautiful daughter's face around our home in my dreams. And I miss her very much.
Jesus, man. I can't even imagine.
I'm going to read you a prepared statement. Today's ruling was yet another gut punch for so many of us who devastatingly lost our loved ones on that tragic Valentine's Day at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. 17 beautiful lives were cut short by murder. Heinous, pre-planned, torturous murder. And the monster that killed them gets to live another day. While this sentence fails to punish the perpetrator to the fullest extent of the law, it will not stop the mission of the families of Stand with Parkland to effect positive change at the federal, state, and local level to prevent school shooting tragedies from shattering other American families.
Tony, what did you think when you were hearing those verdicts being read? Has it sunk in that this was a life sentence, not a death sentence recommendation, what were you and your wife Jennifer and everybody else thinking?
Well, I can only speak for myself and my wife since we've talked about it. But I'm sure some of the other families had similar thoughts. How can the mitigating factors make this shooter, who they recognized committed this terrible act, acts plural, shooting some victims more than once on a pass, pressing the barrel of his weapon to my daughter's chest, that doesn't outweigh that poor little, what's his name?
Jesus.
Had a tough upbringing. I mean, society has to really look.
Dude, a lot of people have tough upbringings. It's not an excuse to go around capping people because you're pissed off at the world because it doesn't go your way. Make it go your way.
The other sons, daughters, spouses, and fathers, they were the victims here. Our justice system should have been used to punish this shooter to the fullest extent of the law, not as an act of revenge, but to protect our nation's schools.
I cannot disagree with that at all.
From attacking the future of this country when they attack our schools.
Do you not see how it's possible that one juror could have found one mitigating factor?
If one juror was honest when they chose the jury and they said they could see their way to the death penalty, and unanimously they all found that the aggravators are proven beyond a reasonable doubt, I think that one juror possibly perjured him or herself.
What message do you have to this jury, and does this send the wrong message to the nation? The nation is watching.
Well, again, what do we want as a society? Do we want people who commit atrocious acts against the future of our country to be punished to the fullest extent of the law?
Fuck yeah.
Or do we want to excuse them because they had a tough time growing up? About this nation, there were people who had a more difficult time growing up than this shooter.
Damn right.
Who have been failed by the school system.
Damn
more
right.
than this shooter. And who have had less services provided than this shooter.
Let them know.
And they did not choose to enter a school with a high-powered weapon and pull the trigger 139 individual times. That is cruel. That is thoughtful. And that should have been punished to the maximum extent of the law.
Can't say no to that, man.
We know that the gun is studying other shooting, and now he gets life. For the next teenage gunman or the next young person who decides to get a gun and study and follow, what does a sentence like this do for the safety of other children?
I think that it puts all school children in jeopardy. It certainly sends the wrong message. This shooter did not deserve compassion. Did he show the compassion to Gina when he put the weapon against her chest and chose to pull that trigger?
Wow.
Or any of the other 3 times that he shot her? Was that compassionate? When we heard in his own words what he said regarding other victims, Meadow Pollock, Carol Ocken, Peter Wang. We heard what he said, what he thought. Was that a sympathetic figure?
Yeah, man.
I will say
I would not want to be one of that. I would not want to be on that jury, man.
I haven't heard one of our families,
especially now, because like the whole country is looking at those jurors like they failed.
They were realistic.
Everyone.
Their rebuttal was excellent. I just think people forget what facts are these days.
Yeah, I couldn't dispute that. I was listening. I had to stop covering this because it was just overwhelming how much information was showing that this kid absolutely premeditated this thing.
Families will stand with
And he
Parkland
was
has always been
totally
dedicated
cold-blooded
to preventing other families
and full of
suffering
hate,
through
just
these
full of
horrific
pure hatred.
Perhaps now we'll have to fight to make sure that victim impact statements, real victims, are taken into account. The real victim statements when you go through a penalty phase, so that we can all remember our loved ones, the kind, compassionate, innocent students and teachers that went to school that day and never returned to our loving families.
You're going to be here for Scott Peterson's prom?
Had enough of the courtroom for a while, but I imagine that we will come back and do what we did here. We will all represent our loved ones. My wife Jennifer and I will make sure that we represent our beautiful, forever 14-year-old daughter Gina in any court proceeding. We will continue to put forth our efforts.
This dude is classy as hell too, man.
Through both Stand with Parkland and the work we do locally, statewide, and nationally, as well as the Gina Rose Montalto Memorial Foundation, which we set up to keep Gina's light shining in this world, because she should not have been extinguished by this monster.
We do live in a country, and a state, and a county where, a sizable part of the population is not.
Water Lily, don't start that shit in here, because, and I'll tell you right now, I lose, dude.
I'll trade places with you. That's why.
I lose subs every time I bring this up, and I'll tell you right now.
Change your mind.
In my opinion, the way to solve this problem is everybody fucking straps. Everybody.
Yeah.
Sitting here whining about gun laws. Gun laws don't do shit. Drug laws don't fucking stop drugs from being trafficked, do they?
Better than she got.
So I don't want to hear that.
From the school.
I don't want to hear that at all. Like, everybody, in my opinion, should be, anybody with sound mind should be fucking strapped and ready to take down some little fucking asshole like this kid who thinks that fucking they're entitled to fucking shoot everybody because the world doesn't go the way that they wanted it to go. Bullshit. The rest of us get up every day, we work hard, we put food on our table, we take care of our families, we do whatever we have to do to live life in a functional society and contribute to being part of a functional society. So fuck you with that shit. I don't want to hear about gun laws. Gun laws need to be more strict. Bullshit.
Every
bullshit
time he pulled the trigger.
Somebody should be ready, strapped and ready to take down any asshole who thinks that they're entitled enough to fucking destroy other people's lives because they're pissed off at the world because it didn't go their way. Fuck them. The answer to bad people with guns is good people with guns. That's my opinion.
I'm guessing you're all wanting me to react. I'm stunned. I'm devastated. There are 17 victims.
Guns aren't going anywhere. Like, they're not going anywhere. Might as well strap up.
My daughter, you'll notice she was the 16th of the 17 to be read today. She was shot running down a hallway. Now, what mitigating factor was it that they used on her? Were they going to suggest that he didn't have the fine motor skill to shoot that gun as she was running down the hallway? This jury failed our families today. But I will tell you, the monster's going to go to prison, and in prison, I hope and pray he receives the kind of mercy from prisoners that he showed to my daughter and the 16 others. He is going to go to prison and he will die in prison. And I will be waiting to read the news on that. He should have received the death sentence today. There was no mercy for a murder that was planned over a long period of time. And that was sadly,
he documented this shit,
state, executed. I don't know how this jury came to the conclusions that they did today, but 17 families did not receive justice. Because of what happened to our families, we are all in this position now of doing the work that we do around this country to keep this from happening to another family. And this decision today only makes it more likely that the next mass shooting will be attempted.
Tony, Fred, can you talk to us about what you were thinking when you realized that it was not going to get the death penalty?
I looked at my wife and I said shame, anger, devastation. Listen, I've got to know you and the others over the years. I've spent the past almost 5 years preparing myself for today, mentally, physically, because I visit my daughter in a cemetery. And the idea that there was at least one juror who I have to imagine didn't tell the truth to get on that jury and who was never, ever, ever going to vote yes. Because
see, now I understand that. Like right now, this seems to be the common consensus from these families that somebody lied to get on that jury because they're fucking bleeding heart, fucking whiners. So they lied to get on the jury because they're anti-death penalty. Because the facts, the details, the facts of the evidence, it's overwhelming. It was absolutely premeditated.
Okay.
It was absolutely planned.
They did not prove mitigation, but yet a juror accepted the notion. A juror did not tell the truth to get on this jury, and because of that, 17.
That's the only logical explanation. I totally agree with the guy.
This is the way the system works, right?
Do you think that they should have had maybe the trial outside of South Florida or Broward, if possible, or moved another venue where we've got a fairer, maybe, or a different jury?
I don't know. I'm not a mind reader. I can tell you this. The state.
Yeah, what the fuck do you expect that guy to say to
an
that?
Amazing job of proving the aggravators. The state did everything they possibly could have done. I will also
Go
say,
fuck yourself, Phoenix.
The defense, to be a defense attorney in a situation like this, I get it, you have a job, but it doesn't mean you need to lose your humanity towards the victims, which they did, okay? And their inability to ever, for a second, either in the courtroom or outside of the courtroom, have a human moment with us, a civil moment, was despicable. Looking at attorney Tamara Curtis take her middle finger and rub it up and down her cheek when she lost an argument in the courtroom and then to start laughing with the killer over it like an immature punk child, I will never, ever, ever forgive that moment. But that's who they were. So I will tell you, the state did its job. Whether or not doing this in another county would have made a difference, you go through a lot of people to pick a jury. I don't know. I don't know.
What do you do moving forward? I know it wasn't going to bring any closure.
No, I love when people try to say that they know what side I voted. You know, dick. Shut up. You know, dick. You know nothing.
The first thing I do moving forward is I go visit my daughter at the cemetery because he killed her. And that's what I have to do. The next thing I do moving forward is everything I can to prevent the next one of these from happening. The next thing I do moving forward is everything I possibly can to remind people how important the next election is and voting, because we do have the ability to do things in this country to reduce gun violence through our vote, and we need to do that. So I'm going
What's
to
up, Dame
continue
Von
doing what
Daisy?
I do. And I'm going to go to the cemetery, and I'm going to tell my daughter what happened today, and I'm going to tell her I love her and always will.
Do you believe in any way a life over death sentence here with a message that encourages or discourages to the next young person who gets a gun out there and thinks about doing the same?
That person is planning a shooting now. Let's face it. And
Wow.
that person now believes that they can get away with it. I'm still, and some of you know me, I'm not often stunned, but I am stunned by this verdict today. And I think anyone planning a shooting right now sees that there's a path to avoid the death penalty where it does exist. And the death penalty does exist, by the way. There was no reason they couldn't impose it. But you know what? His defense counsel in the closing arguments made one of the most bizarre statements I've heard in a closing argument when she said, well, if you don't give him the death penalty, he'll just end up dying in prison anyway, of natural or some other causes. That was his defense counsel who said that. So right now, I'm hoping she got it right.
Fred, is there any sense of small relief that you don't have to go to that courtroom anymore? You don't have to see him anymore?
I would have gone to that courtroom every day the rest of my life to get the right justice. So, no. He did what he did. The only possibility for relief ended for me 5 years ago almost when he shot and killed my daughter. I was prepared for the rest of my life to seek justice. And I could not be more disappointed in what happened today.
I can't blame this guy at
Anything
all.
else?
I don't blame any of these
Thank you
parents
all.
for feeling this way. Not one of them.
G-U-T-T? Oh, Guttenberg. Thank you. I'm sorry? No. Sorry. Thank you all.
Fucking God, man, some of your all's comments, dude, like, and the fact that you have the audacity to say this kind of shit while these parents are expressing their feelings, you know, publicly right now, like, is amazing to me.
To try to stop the shooter, to do something to save other
Like,
people.
Osvaldo, you are a bona fide jackass.
Completely devastated and shocked by this verdict. To me, what it says to me, what it says to my family, what it says to the other families is that his life meant more than the 17 that were murdered and the 17 that were shot and the thousands of people in that school, in that community that are terrorized and traumatized every single day. Even if every single one of those mitigating circumstances was true, which we all, I think, believe are not, but even if they were, how does any one of those mitigators outweigh those aggravating factors that they all agreed were true? How do you say, yes, it's cruel, that it was heinous, that it was planned, and we all agree on that, but oh, he might have had a mental illness or he had trouble growing up. I have a son with special needs. I have a son that checked all of those boxes, or a lot of those boxes, that the shooter did as well. And you know what? My son's not a murderer. My son is the sweetest person that you could ever meet. This person had services. He had love.
He had options.
He had the best upbringing his mother could give him. But even if he didn't, how does that outweigh cruel, heinous, planned? It doesn't. It just doesn't. I don't care who you are. There's no way that you could look at those mitigating circumstances and believe for 1 second that they outweigh the aggravators, and that the life of that person is more important and more valuable than the life of the 17 that were taken, and all of the other people that live through that trauma every single day. So
Exactly, Dame.
I'd like
Exactly.
to say I have no words, but apparently I have a lot of them.
Because all I hear are excuses for this shitbag. That's all I hear.
I agree with what a lot of people have said. There has to have been someone who maybe thought they could. Maybe they did. I also believe in grace and giving people the benefit of the doubt. And maybe when they're sitting there and you're asking them questions and they think, yeah, I can do that. But when faced with that decision, that it just maybe was something they didn't have in their makeup to be able to do. But they really should have asked themselves that question harder before they agreed to sit on this jury.
Yesterday you told me that you thought that if there was a death penalty verdict, that would sort of allow you to perhaps close the door on the anger phase, what you've been through, move on to the healing phase. What are you thinking now?
Definitely that anger phase is going to take a little longer to move through. Because to me, like I said, here I am thinking that they're going through yes, yes, yes on those aggravators. How can you say yes to every single aggravator and then no to the death penalty? Beyond a reasonable doubt, they believe that they proved those mitigators. So it will have to be something I resolve within myself, with my family.
This lady's all
because
class,
really
man.
Right now, it feels that his life is more valuable than Christopher's, and that is not true. Never.
Ms. Hickson, do you believe that yes, the FBI, the Broward Sheriff's Office, and now the jury has failed in electric terrorism? Has failed it?
I do. In a lot of those instances, there was an opportunity to stop the shooter before he even got through figuring out his plan. BSO took a long time to get there. And now, again, someone else believes that someone's life is more valuable than my husband's. And that makes me, I can't even.
And let me tell you something, Broward County sheriffs, they're real quick to pull you over and give you a ticket, though. Takes them a long time to go fucking de-escalate an active shooter, but they're real quick to pull you over and give you a fucking ticket. I promise you that.
We are working very hard to increase our security.
Because you got to keep that revenue coming in.
To society that we have to look at who we allow to own firearms, how we address mental health in our communities, and where we give grace when it's warranted. So.
We don't know how many jurors wanted to go with life.
Correct.
But did you expect a longer, more involved discussion among the jurors to maybe sway others on death, as opposed to the speed at which the jury came back here?
It's a good question. So clearly the aggravators were very easy to go through. I think all of us would agree that 100% were all 7 of them without a doubt completely proven. So in the defense, if you listened to the defense's closing statement, they basically told them that they couldn't, if one person said life, you were done. Like, you weren't allowed to have that. So honestly, I don't know how much of them are, what they're able to do, but it seemed correct.
I want you to reconsider. Did you expect more of a debate within that jury room versus the speed at which they came back?
To be honest, I thought it would not take as long, because if you clearly saw the aggravating factors, that mitigating could never, there are some mitigating factors you could check off, but I personally don't see how one single one of them weighs heavier than any of those 7 aggravators. So I thought that it was done earlier or quickly, because they all said, yes, there are mitigating factors, but 100% they do not outweigh all of these aggravators that we did. So shocked at the outcome, but I didn't think it was going to take them a whole long time to do
And I
that.
have one other question, which is, I saw you leave the courtroom with your son. You told me in the past the difficulty of explaining to him about his father's death. What did you explain to him today, or how did you explain?
Of course, he was very upset, and more, I think, because he felt the room, us being upset in the room. But we just tried to explain to him also that this person is still being punished. So at the end of the day, I've said it a number of times, life or death, our life doesn't change at home. We don't have Chris. Our life, our family is not whole anymore, and we move through the process of how we get through each day. So this doesn't change what happens in our house. It changes emotionally how we feel about society. I think in general, the fact that you could
Very well said.
think that someone who murdered 17 people because he had a mental illness, which I don't think any of us would disagree. There's no normal person that's going to do what he did, but that does not outweigh the aggravating factors that
Absolutely not. I agree.
I think that
GJ Bear, it seems like what it looks like is there was one juror that they just couldn't come to a unanimous agreement.
Chris was survived. He would have survived if he had.
I don't know that for a fact though, so don't quote me on that. I'm just saying I don't, you know.
So I hope that he understands the gift that he's been given. I doubt that he will, but I do hope that he understands what that gift is and that he's somehow able to take that and do something different than the trajectory he's been on for all of his life.
Did you believe the death penalty?
I did not. And I would have been one of those people that would have thought, you know, we can rehabilitate people, that it's not up to us. And it's been a struggle for these last 4.5 years to
Yes, Mr. Smith, I think I am.
that this person doesn't deserve to walk on the earth. But you find yourself in a different position and you change your mind. But it's a struggle for sure. Yeah, actually, that's a good question. Yes, because they had just asked about the state, the cross-examination where they were talking about trigger fingers and things of that nature. So to feel how heavy, remember, 139 times he pulled that trigger in 7 minutes. So the idea that he was below average in being able to tap something is clearly not what's reality in this instance. I would guess so. And, you know, some people maybe just wanted to see it. Who knows? So, anyway, but thank you so much. Thank you.
We also have Broward County's state attorney, Harold Pryor, making his way to.
Hello. Thank you for being here. You know, this dreadful and horrific crimes committed by this school mass shooter in Parkland on Valentine's Day 2018, it's forever changed our community. It'll continue to impact us forever. The parents and families of the school children and staff members who were lost in this massacre, our hearts are with them. We hope that they know that all of us lost 17 wonderful people that day, and that our world is a poorer and sadder place without them. To the survivors, please know that you are not forgotten in this, and that we respect and salute your courage and all that you have endured. You know, when I was elected as Broward State Attorney, I promised that I would uphold the law. And I agreed that this community, not one person sitting in the office, should hear all the facts and all the evidence of this case, and that the community should make a decision about whether this mass killer should get the death penalty or life in prison. We thank the jurors for their service, for taking on this difficult task. We thank the law enforcement officers who went into the school. We thank the law enforcement officers who investigated this case and also arrested the killer. We thank our prosecutors and our prosecution team and the whole office for their dedication and service in ensuring that we presented all the facts and the evidence before the Broward County community. And we thank the courthouse staff. We also thank the witnesses. We thank the victims' families and the survivors for everything. As I spoke to some of the family members immediately after verdict, I thank them for their patience with us and their compassion. And I thank everyone who worked to ensure that the whole truth, the full story, was told about this tragedy with full transparency. To my knowledge, this is the first time that the full story of a community's loss and all of the relevant facts have been told about a mass shooting of this magnitude. We have not shied away from telling all of the horror, all of the loss, all of the devastation, all of the pain about this case. We hope that while there's no such thing as closure, there will never be closure. We'll never find closure. But I do
What is this
hope
guy, like running for office
that
or
this will
something?
bring some measure of finality and justice to this terrible chapter. Thank you. No questions. I want to allow the families to be able to comment. It's about the families thing. And so I will allow them to speak and then we'll come back, okay? Thank you.
Good afternoon. It's been 1,703 days since the murderer committed the mass shooting at Marjorie Stoneman and Douglas High School. And if this was not the most perfect death penalty case, then why do we have the death penalty?
It's a
at
good
all?
point. It's a great
There's
point.
no doubt about the fact that the verdict should have been the death penalty. I believe that our state's attorneys, okay, all of them, all of our state's attorneys, whether it be Mr. Sachs, whether it be Carolyn McCann, whether it be Jeff Marcus, Nicole, Stephen, Aaron, we could have not had a more perfect state's attorney group. No way. Mr. Sachs told me when we first learned that he was taking this case on, he said to me, I promise you that this will not just be another mass shooting. By the time we're finished with this case, every single person who was murdered, people will know who they are. They will not just be a name, but people will know exactly who they are, will know a face, and will know everything about them. And that's exactly what he did. You talk about being disappointed. We are all disappointed, okay? All of us, because they could not have done a better job. They could not have proven their case any better than they did.
I agree.
We all know their case was proven.
I agree.
But again, we have jurors, and there's no doubt in my mind that somewhere along when they chose their jury, they had to be told, I'm pretty sure, that they would consider the death penalty. Somewhere along the line, one of those jurors had to have said, I know he committed these crimes. I know he deserves to be punished, but I can't be the one to put someone to death. And that is the only way that we did not get the death penalty.
It's the only way. It's the only logical way
My
that I
son
can
was
think of.
murdered along with 16 other people, and this animal, okay, still is going to now have life in prison without parole. And let me tell you something, as far as I'm concerned, he's probably going to get taken out sooner than later if he did get the death penalty. Because we know that a death penalty case, I believe in Florida, takes a lot longer. I think it's somewhere, the average is somewhere close to 18 years, okay? I'd certainly be dead and buried before he would be. So as far as I'm concerned, the fact that he's going to go into some sort of general population, he's going to have to look over his shoulder every minute of the rest of his life. Just the way the fear in him, I hope he has the fear in him every second of his life, just the way he gave that fear to every one of our loved ones who he murdered, or the students,
Let
or
him
the
know
people that he harmed. He should live in that fear, and he should be afraid every second of the day of his life.
Agreed.
Just to add,
Well said, lady.
okay, about fear, this is what my son saw. He saw the gunman, and he turned and pulled the trigger. This is what the jury didn't think was worth capital punishment. Answer me why, how, that my son shot by this animal like this. People need to see this. This is real. This is not a game. This is not a video. This is not a TV or a movie. This is real. The last thing my son saw was the gunman aiming at him.
And let me tell you something, we're not going to stop. I'm going to tell every single person here, we will never stop fighting. We are never going to stop fighting so that these animals can't go into, whether it's schools, movie theaters, places of worship, you name it. We're going to fight with them so we don't have to keep looking over our shoulder and wondering when we send our kids to school,
Yes,
or
ma'am.
our loved ones go to work at school or go to work anywhere, okay, that we could possibly never speak to them again. We're going to continue to fight, and we're going to make sure that AR-15 and those assault weapons that killed our loved ones are taken off the streets.
Yeah, you lost me there, lady. Sorry.
This should not happen to anyone else. This should never happen. We should not have to worry about, even ourselves, walking around the streets that somebody's going to murder us with a gun that they illegally own or legally own and have gone off the deep end somewhere and decided that they're going to take their anger out on someone else.
And this verdict today gives license to anyone who wants to claim they have a mental illness to kill people.
Sure, all I have to do is have a mental illness, not a problem. Okay, one of my attorneys is going to do a mitigating factor that I'm a human being. Okay, that's one of the mitigating factors. He's a human being, okay? And that gives him license to just, him or her, license to go in and kill people. This is ridiculous. This should be the case that makes people stop and say, oh my God, I better not do that because I can get the death penalty. This is the case now. You know what?
Agreed.
I can do it, not a problem. And I can get off and I can have life in prison without parole.
I won't say lied.
No.
Maybe when they were originally questioned, they thought they could do it. But when push comes to shove, maybe they realized that they couldn't.
We can't damn the jurors. Come on. I mean, if that's how I come across, I apologize. These jurors sat there since July 18th, day in and day out. Let me tell you something. They're the people that we need to give therapy to, because here they are. They went into the 1200 building. They saw all the autopsy photos. They saw some things that we never got to see, and you certainly didn't get to see. I mean, they did their job. There's no doubt about it. But when push came to shove at the very end, like all of the aggravating factors, they all checked them all off. There was no doubt about that those aggravating factors were all checked off.
Some of the other parents, it seemed they were laughing at it.
I'm sorry, I can't. It's going to have to be one at a time. It's hard enough to hear one. I'm sorry? This was 3 years ago. This was, yeah.
3 years ago, I didn't know half a third of what I know through the trial. If I knew what I know now, back then, I would never have said what I said. Okay, this animal deserves to die. He hunted all these people. He planned this.
Okay, we're going to switch things up,
I didn't know,
guys. The press conference regarding the Quentin Simon case. I'm going to switch over to that real quick.
Good. Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Chief Jeff Hadley with the Chatham County Police Department, and we wanted to provide everyone with an update to the extent that we can on the missing Quentin Simon. We have yet to locate little Quentin. We continue to investigate this incident. We've got some assistance from the FBI. We got numerous interviews to conduct today, as well as downloading phones and things of that nature to try to bring this case to a conclusion. It still remains a missing child investigation at this point until we reach a different conclusion based on any evidence that we may find or any updates or developments that we may occur here today. Just to kind of recap what we have done, as you know, we had aviation out here yesterday all day or half of the day, providing air support. We had mounted patrol from Savannah Police Department, which we sincerely appreciate. We had SEMA and the volunteers doing a grid search, an area search, looking for little Quentin. And as of this morning, we still have yet to locate him. So a lot of work to do. Our investigators are working extremely hard. They were here till 2 o'clock in the morning this morning, and then came back in at 8 o'clock for a briefing, and are out here this morning continuing to investigate. So that is unfortunately all the update, substantive update
Okay,
that
so
we have here
that
this
tells
morning.
me that they
Be
haven't
happy to
found
answer a few
Quentin yet.
questions that you may have.
So grandma's full of
and
shit.
We'll go from there. So.
Chief, is foul play suspected at all in this disappearance?
As of this time, we have not had any evidence to lead us to believe foul play, but everything's on the table, honestly. So we're looking at this from many different angles. We're getting all the technology that we can, looking for cameras that were in the area, things of that nature. So, but as of this interview, we don't have anything of substance that would lead us to believe that. It's still a missing child investigation.
Do you know why it took 3 hours to report the child missing to police?
I don't know. It took 3 hours to report to the police. I haven't gotten into that level of detail when the mother noticed the child was missing. The only information that I have is that the boyfriend woke up, saw the child at 6 a.m. The mother woke up at some other time later and then reported the child missing at 9:39. I believe the call came into 911. So the time difference and whatnot, I'm not privy to that level of detail at this second.
From what I understand, much of the morning, like specifically when it did start getting light out.
All right, hold on. Let me see if I can. Here we go.
h00ter with advanced synthetic technology offers extended drain intervals.
I was going to say, I was like, wait a
more
second.
Time on the road. That also means you see more sights, like that cornfield, and that cornfield, and that, no, that's corn too.
See, that's why I love my chat. You guys are fucking fantastic. Okay, so this hasn't started yet. Okay, no, disregard everything that I just said. I don't know. Disregard everything that I just said because apparently that was an old press conference. So the actual press conference is about to start, I guess. But this is the link to it. So okay, so I don't know why it's not streaming here, but it's actually going on. So I don't know what the hell's going on here. I'm not going to stream snipe Annie. I'm not going to do that. All right, hold on a second.
And then just pull back on. Will allow
allow her to pursue her hobby full time.
I'd say all this has definitely been both fun and a blessing to be able to get to do.
Now, when you see this next artist's work, you'll be saw-struck.
Okay, so this
Chainsaw
is
carving is my-
WJCL, so yeah, that's not happening. Nope, that's not it either. What are you guys telling me to try? I tried WTOC, that didn't work. WSAV, I'll try. All right. So, yeah, I'm not finding this shit anywhere. All right. I think I got it. Hold on a second. Hold on a second, y'all. I mean, this is all I'm getting here. Nope. All right. I guess every other fucking YouTuber has it but me. Awesome. So, fan fucking tastic. I'm going to wrap this up, guys. I will find it and then I will go over it later. Anyways, thanks for joining me regarding the Nikolas Cruz thing. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. We will do this again very soon, my friends.